Today's meeting and to share his thoughts on what it will take to get the goals done is the UN Secretary General, His Excellency, Mr. António Guterres. Welcome, Mr. Secretary General.
So we can't see program yet?
Excellencies, guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Our world is challenged like never before, from climate change to conflicts to COVID-19, which is putting the Sustainable Development Goals further out of reach. It would be easy to lose hope. But we are not hopeless or helpless. We have a path to recovery if we choose to take it. That's what this SDG moment is all about. Coming together to save our planet and each other. Coming together also with the BTS today, which is a fantastic contribution. Now, 2 weeks ago, I launched our common agenda, a plan to reboot the multilateral system and gather the world around our common objectives. Because only by recovering together can we get the Sustainable Development Goals back on track. And I see 5 areas for urgent action. First, we need to end this pandemic. Our response has been too slow and too unequal. I call on the world to mobilize behind a global vaccination plan that doubles vaccine production to reach 70% of the world's population by the middle of next year. Second, we need to get down to the business of a sustainable and equitable recovery for all so that we stay on track to end poverty by 2030. And this means making bold investments in systems that support human development, from education and universal social protection to healthcare and jobs. It means putting people above profits, including through progressive taxation and ending tax evasion, money laundering, and illicit financial flows. And it means reforming the global financial system, tackling debt distress, and ensuring that developed countries benefit from the recent allocation of special drawing rights. Third, equal rights for women and girls. We cannot achieve any of the SDGs without gender equality. We need bold investments to make sure every girl has a seat in the classroom and the skills she needs to chart her own future. We need to dismantle the power structures that allow discrimination, violence, and economic hardship to keep 1/2 of humanity down. And we need to make sure that girls and women have a seat at every table, from the halls of power to the boardrooms of business. Quatrièmement,
fourth, we need to end the war on our planet. This means committing to zero emissions by 2050. Ambitious climate and biodiversity plans. No new coal plants after 2021, and mobilising $100 billion a year for climate action, and helping developing countries make the shift to green economies, a top priority of the upcoming COP26 meeting in Glasgow.
We need you, all of you. All of you are critical to global recovery. I urge you to work with your governments to put people first in their budgets and recovery plans. Dear friends, the pathway is there. The choice is ours. Let's move forward with hope and conviction, and I thank you.
Our thanks to Ms. Casey on the very sober and clear-eyed look at what has to be done to get the SDGs back on track. And as we heard earlier from the UN Secretary General, doing so is going to require action from all actors and the engagement of all people, especially youth. which is why we're therefore pleased and, as a Korean American, distinctly honored to be joined by His Excellency Mr. Moon Jae-in, the President of the Republic of Korea, to deliver a statement and to introduce a very special guest. Welcome, Mr. President.
Honorable President of the General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, Honorable Secretary General António Guterres, and distinguished guests. It is a great pleasure for me to take part in the second SDG moment. And thank you very much for preparing such a special event. Not long ago, the UN University Research Institute has published a report that said the world is interconnected in terms of disaster risks. For instance, the report says that the heating of the Arctic and the cold front of Texas are interconnected, and that the COVID-19 pandemic and the cyclone of Bangladesh are closely interconnected with CO2 emissions and environment damage. If problems are interconnected, solutions should also be interconnected. Cooperating beyond boundaries is the very first step in overcoming such crises. 6 years ago here, the UN has agreed on the SDGs. And 2 years ago, we made the pledge of Decade of Action until 2030. Our footsteps for an inclusive future has been delayed due to the pandemic. However, it has once again enabled us to feel the importance of such a goal. Our resolve for action has become even stronger. Going beyond crisis recovery, we need to seek a better recovery and rebuilding. This can be achieved when we achieve interconnected and mutual action. First and foremost, we need to immediately take the mind of inclusiveness and coexistence into action together. The beginning of this is the fair access and distribution of COVID-19 vaccines globally. The Republic of Korea has vowed to donate some $200 million to COVAX at the G7 summit. And as a pillar of global vaccine hub, we will continue to exert efforts to enhance vaccine distribution and support. Furthermore, we will also proactively contribute to bolstering global cooperation on public health, including the WHO. Second, we need to respond to climate change with cooperation that transcends national boundaries. The planet Earth is heating up faster than expected, and we are witnessing abnormal climate conditions in all corners of the world. The advanced and developing countries need to walk towards the goal of carbon neutrality together. To do so, advanced countries need to share and transfer their climate experience and technology with developing countries, and cooperation should also be underscored. Korea will be confirming the 2050 carbon neutrality scenario in late October and plans to submit our NDC goal with higher target. And Korea will also expand Green New Deal ODA, and we will also share our experience and technology with other countries as we have grown into an advanced country from a developing one. Likewise, we will also proactively help the developing countries bring recovery and carbon neutrality. Third, we need to proactively utilize the fourth industrial revolution technology for sustainable development. Nevertheless, digital technology and infrastructure is leading to new disparities and inequity. Resolving such digital divide and inequality is another task at hand. And this is also an issue that occurs in the process of achieving energy transition. Our digital and green transition needs to be inclusive so that it does not exclude anyone. Last but not least, generations must muster their wisdom by respecting the future generations. We need to overcome differences in generational culture and beliefs. Going beyond nationalities, ethnicity, and gender, All generations need to be aware that they are part of the global community as a whole.
빈곤과 불평등,
And opening our ears to the voices of the future generations for unresolved crises such as poverty, inequality, and climate change is also our duty. The issues that have not been solved by the older generations due to the fear could be resolved easily through the young generation's empathy. And they also share never forget that the future is in their very own hands. Here today we are joined by BTS, a group that is connecting with the youth of the world as a special presidential envoy for future generations and culture. I hope that today can serve as a very special opportunity for the future generations to muster their strength and wisdom towards sustainable development. The Korean people also will always stand as a robust companion in the journey of global world and inclusiveness cooperation with the belief that unless everyone is safe, no one can be safe. Thank you very much. And I need to introduce our next guests. And representing today, we have the world's most famous and much loved artist, BTS. And they have been named as the very special presidential envoy for future generations and culture. And now let us hear their story.
Did you link to me? But no, I go straight after. I just go straight after.
Honorable President of the 76th General Assembly, Abdullah Shahid, UN Secretary General António Guterres, President Moon Jae-in, and Your Excellencies. It is a great pleasure for us to stand here today. We are BTS, Special Envoy of the President of the Republic of Korea. We are here to tell the story of the future generation. Before coming here, we had a chance to ask them what the past 2 years were like and also what kind of world they have been living in. Jin will be sharing their answers. Let's take a look together. Can you feel the positive vibe? Frankly speaking, the past 2 years were also challenging for me, but there were also many people who shouted, "Let's live on." And we believe that we cannot come to a complete halt, as this is the period for the many young people to take diverse challenges. It must have been very challenging, as there is no one to blame. And I'm the same as yesterday, but the entire world have changed in an instant. I was also very sorry to hear about the cancellations of graduation and commencement ceremonies. It must have have also been not easy to see the valuable moments of life just pass by. And for us, we were upset as we had to cancel our tour concerts, something that we have been preparing for a very long time. And also we've been longing for the moment that we wanted to achieve. And we also needed some time to kind of remember the things that we have lost due to the pandemic. And it was also time for us to cherish the invaluable moments. As Suga has just mentioned, many have responded to our question with photos of valuable moments as well. And in particular, many have sent us images of nature. And I believe that during the past 2 years, many people came to realize the importance of nature. I believe this is so. Would that be because we are anxious because we feel that not much time is left ahead of us? We mentioned that we needed some time to remember the things that we have lost, but remembering and sending condolences to our planet Earth is the last thing I want to do. While many believe that climate change is a very important issue, it's definitely not easy to point out what the best solution might be. I think this is right, as this is very challenging. And as we were preparing to join today's event, we learned that there are many students who are interested in environmental issues and have selected this as their majors. There have been also many people looking for new solutions, as the future is unknown and is something that has not been taken. And I hope that we do not perceive the future to be grim only. There are many people who are pondering upon what our future should be like. And I hope that we do not act as if our ending is determined already in our very own story, where we are the main characters. Of course, there could be times when the world seems to come to a halt, despite the fact that I am ready. And there are also times when we feel lost. This was also something that we have felt. So today's teens and 20s are also dubbed COVID lost generation. And this probably means because they feel lost, especially at a time when they need various opportunities and attempts. But can we really say they are lost just because we cannot see it with our eyes? Let's look at these photos. They are gathering online with their friends, and they are embarking on new studies, areas of study, and also there are many people. And there are also many people who are exerting efforts to live a healthier life. And rather than describing them as being lost, they are exerting courage and taking on new challenges. And I believe that it is more fitting to describe them as welcome generation rather than lost generation. This means that they are the generation that is welcoming these new challenges and marching forward. I believe this is very right. If we have belief in new possibilities and hope, I believe that we can be able to seek new paths going forward. And our choices may not always be perfect, of course. But this does not necessarily mean that there is nothing we can do and we shall be hopeless. What's important is that what choices can we make in front of these changes. And I believe that many people were curious as we were telling the fans that we are going to the UN, and they were also curious whether we have been vaccinated. But we have been fully vaccinated. And vaccination is something like a ticket for all of us to enable us to meet our fans and to join you here. And we believe that we are doing what we can do right now. Just like vaccination and efforts to continue our new normal, I believe that we can very soon meet face to face. And I hope that you will be filled with positive energy until then. We thought the world has come to a halt, difficult, but we are gradually moving forward, and all choices are the beginning of new changes, not ending. I hope that we can greet each other by saying welcome to each other. And our song, Permission to Dance, is a welcoming greeting from us to everyone.
It's so tired of being young when your heart's just like a drum, beating louder with no way to guard it.
When it all seems like it's wrong, sing along to Elton John, to that feeling we're just getting started.
And when the nights get colder and the rhythm's got you falling behind, just dream about that moment when you look yourself right in the eye. Then you say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's make a pass to live just like a golden and rolling like a dancing fools. We don't need to worry, just ready for we know how to dance.
Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight.
You know just how to break, just keep that right
Love, yeah, cause there's no looking back. There ain't no one to prove we don't got this alright.
Yeah,
So when it's over, the time is not so let's do it right.
yeah, we'll keep going and stay up until we see the sun rise. And we say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing that can stop how we move. Yeah, let's make a pass and leave just like it golden and rolling like it dancing fools. We don't need to worry, 'cause when we fall we know how to land. Don't need to talk the talk, just walk the walk tonight. 'Cause we don't need permission to dance. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. We don't need permission to dance. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na. Well, let me show you, and then we can keep the fire alive.
Cause it's not over till it's over. Say it one more time.
Say, I wanna dance, the music's got me going, and nothing can stop how we move. Hey, let's take a pass and live just like it golden and rolling like it dancing fool. Like we're dancing fool. We don't need to worry, 'cause when we fall we know how to land.
Talk, the talk, just walk the walk tonight.